Throughout the 17th and 18th centuries, over 100,000 so-called witches were burned at the stake. It's a mutually agreed upon fact that the women committed to this punishment most likely suffered from some kind of mental illness. As a person who suffered from mental illness, this hits very close to home. It's weird knowing that I could have been burned alive because of the illness that I live with. Although we have come a long way in accepting mental illness, people still die of it every day. It is not seen as a credible illness, something that is very real and tangible. But where did this all start? Why has it become so taboo in our society, something to be covered up and locked away? As early as 5000 BCE, signs of mental illness treatment have been found. It was believed that illnesses of the mind came from demonic possessions, magic, the evil eye, or the wrath of numberless gods. In order to free the sufferer of these plagues, people would have holes punctured in the skull to relieve the pressure built up inside by those outside sources, and thus expel whatever ailed them. The ancient Hebrews also held a similar belief, believing that mental illness was a curse put upon them by God for committing sins. The belief that mental illness came from outside or unseen forces continued until the 3rd to 5th centuries. It was then believed that the sufferer had unbalanced humors or essential fluids in the body, and if those became unbalanced, the mind and actions were affected. This more enlightened view kept on until the early colonial period, which is where the witch burning comes in, back to seeing mental illness coming from some unseen or unhuman force. Although the burning eventually stopped, people started avoiding the problem. They threw those suffering into mental asylums. You could put someone in there for a myriad of reasons, one being hysteria, all the way to imaginary female troubles. The world just tried to push the problem away, pretended like it didn't exist, and hide it from the outside world. Please tell me these things sound ridiculous to you. How could we do that to people? How could we do that to people just like us, who just need to be loved, who have something wrong with them? People can't help the way their brains are wired. They can't help if they're stuck in the hole of mental darkness. Why do we tell them to buck up, to walk it off? You wouldn't tell that to someone with a broken leg. These people have broken minds. We're still trying to push mental illness away from us, but we have to realize that it's the 10th leading cause of death in the United States alone, that people are still fighting, that they still feel like they have nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. But what does this history all mean if we don't learn from it? Although we've made progress, it doesn't mean that all is well. It's an old saying that those who don't learn history are doomed to repeat it. We need to start making changes. We need to accept those people who are flawed and broken and who are lost inside their own minds. We can't keep continuing to push it away. We have to bring it into the light. Although over the past few decades, it has become more socially acceptable to talk about mental illness, but it can always be better. It will not be better until people stop taking their lives because of it.